Okay, now we're going to focus on writing numbers 3 more ways. And I know that this is not in presentation view, but I want to be able to type into this presentation. So the first way that we are shown here is just the normal way with the numbers. We call that standard form. We have to then decide what are the other ways that we are going to write the numbers. We are going to start off by writing the number in word form. Remember, you read the numbers to the left of the decimal how you normally would. So the whole number here is 6. When we get to the decimal, we say and then we read the decimal places how we normally would, 21, except we stop with saying that the last digit, the least place, we state its place value. So the 1 here is sitting in the tenths, hundredths place, so we end it by saying hundredths. Now we're going to write this number in expanded form powers of 10. Remember, expanded form powers of 10 is taking each digit, multiplying it by the place it is sitting in, and then adding those expressions together. So the first digit we have is 6. 6 is sitting in the ones place, so we have 6 times 1. We'll add that to the next digit, which is 2 times the place it's sitting in, which is the tenths place. We'll add that to the last digit, which is 1, and the 1 is sitting in the hundredths place, so it's 1 times 100th. That's expanded form powers of 10. Expanded form is the final way, and that is simply solving what's in parentheses, but leaving the leaving the form as a addition problem. 6 times 1 is 6. 2 times 100th, or excuse me, 2 times 1/10 is just 2 tenths. And 1 times 100th is just 100th. Those are the 3 ways to write 6.21 or 6 and 21 hundredths. The next way that we are given, though, we're given the word form of a number. Now we have to write the other 3 ways. So the first thing we can do is read the number and then transfer that to its standard form. This number says 3,521 and 48 hundredths. The first thing I notice is the and. So I know that this must be where my decimal is sitting. So the numbers or the words prior to the word and would be the whole number, 3,521. I can write that 3,521. Now when I get to and, I write the decimal place, and then we have the decimal places, 48 hundredths. I know that hundredths is 2 places to the right of the decimal, and the digits 48, the number 48, is 2 digits long. So there is no need to put any zeros here. I can just insert 48. Now that I've done that, the other ways are expanded form powers of 10 and expanded form. Expanded form powers of 10 will be the digits multiplied by the places they're sitting in. The 3 is in the thousands place. Add that to the other digits multiplied by the places they're sitting in. 5 is the next digit. It is sitting in the hundredths place. Then we have a 2 in the tens place, a 1 in the ones place, and the decimal places. 4 is sitting in the tenths place. Again, you can write these either as the decimal or the fraction. I'll write this one as a fraction since I typically do decimal, so you can see what that looks like. And the last digit is 8, and 8 is sitting in the hundredths place, so we would multiply that by 100th. Expanded form is now solving the multiplication problems and leaving those as an addition problem. 3 times 1,000 is 3,000. 5 times 100 is 500. 2 times 10 is 20. 1 times 1 is just 1. 4 times 1/10 would be 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10, or 4 tenths. And 8 times 100th is 8 hundredths. And we now have 4 different ways of writing this number, 3,521 and 48 hundredths. Let's try one more. Here we are given the number to write 3 more ways. I see that I have some numbers added together. I know that there's 2 different methods that involve adding numbers together. expanded form powers of 10 and expanded form. Expanded form powers of 10 multiplies a digit by the place it's sitting in. This cannot be that because I don't see the multiplication problem. So this must be expanded form. I'm going to first show that this number, 80 plus 4 tenths plus 6 hundredths plus 7 thousandths, can be written as expanded form powers of 10. I know that we have 80, so that must mean that the digit we were dealing with is 8 because it is the only digit that is not a multiple of 10. 8 would be multiplied by some number to give us 80. Well, I know that that number would be 10, and we're going to add that to the next digit. The digit that is that is not the 0 is the digit we're multiplying by its place value. So that must be the 4. So I'm going to take the 4 and multiply it by whatever place we have it here. Since this is 4 tenths, I must have multiplied 4 by 1 tenth. Then the next digit I see is a 6. The 6 here is sitting in the hundredths place, so it must have been 6 times 100th. And then finally, the last digit I see is a 7. 7 is in the thousandths place, so it must have been multiplied by 1,000th. So we have expanded form powers of 10. Now we need to write that number standard form and word form. I can see here, once I have done expanded form powers of 10, where these digits, which place they're sitting in. Since it's 8 times 10, I know that this number must have an 8 in the tens place. Then we move over to tenths. What we skipped, however, was the ones place. When there is nothing multiplied by a certain place, we must have multiplied it by 0 because that's the only one that you don't need to show in expanded form and expanded form powers of 10. However, you must write it in standard form. The next place I see that we're multiplying a digit by is a decimal place. So at this point, I must include the decimal to show that I'm separating whole numbers from decimal numbers. 4 is in the tenths place, so I just put a 4. The next number is a digit 6 multiplied by the hundredths place, so in the hundredths place, I'll have a 6. And then finally, we have the thousandths place. There are 7 of those, so I would put a 7 in the thousandths place. Finally, we'll write this number in word form. The whole number is 80. Then we say and for the decimal. Read the decimal numbers how we normally would. 467. And state the place of the least digit. 7 is the least digit, and it's in the thousandths place. One more example before we wrap up. Here we're given a specific way of writing a number, and we have to write it in the other ways. So if we see that we have digits multiplied by their place value, this must be expanded form powers of 10. Since that's what we start with to do expanded form, I'll do expanded form next. 9 times 10 is 90, plus 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 times 1 tenth would be 2 tenths, and 5 times 100th would just be 5 hundredths. Now I could simply add these numbers all together to get the standard form. 90 plus 3 I know is 93. At this point, we are switching over to decimals, so I can include the decimal to show that that's what we would have here. 2 tenths plus 5 hundredths would just be 25 hundredths. I can also use expanded form powers of 10. Since the tenths place is multiplied by 2, in the tenths place I have a digit of 2. Since the hundredths place is multiplied by 5, in the hundredths place I have a digit of 5. And then finally, we write the number in word form. The whole number is 93. The decimal says and. We read the rest of the decimal number like we normally would, 25, and state the place that it's sitting in. And there you have it, 4 ways to write numbers.